NBC Found is getting more and more intense every single week. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Lawrence Report. Tonight's broadcast, we discuss NBC Found episode 17, Missing While Heather. And really, they should have called this episode Missing While Chaotic because this episode was absolutely chaotic from start to finish. And I mean that in a good way. And yes, it's intense. Yes, they bring it every single week. It seems like the back half of the season they completely just turned it and flipped everything upside down. That's one of the many reasons why I love the show because you don't know what you're going to get every single episode. They always flip it, reverse it, add a remix. I just want to say this right here. My apologies. I kept going back and forth with myself, wondering, is this the real Jamie? Is this not the real Jamie? I know we talked about it on our ABC Roundtable that comes on Sundays at 9:30. Is this the real Jamie? And in fact, this is the real Jamie. So my apologies, y'all. I didn't know how they was gonna write this right here because they easily could have flipped it where this was an imposter, but apparently this is the real Jamie. I was wrong. I really didn't know. I really didn't know, but this is a real Jamie. This episode was fire. This episode was fire. NBC Found y'all never let me down. Make sure y'all hit the subscribe button. And it was very chaotic. We gotta talk about it. I don't even know where to start. We're just gonna let it flow, y'all, because that's how I feel like that's how they wrote this episode. They just let it flow. Like it was just everywhere. And again, I mean that in a good way, but oh my god, I love the way they set it off. They set it off with these pairings, right? You got Gabby and Sir in prison. You got Zeke and Lacey together, of course. You got Trent and Dawn, right? Oh, I forgot also Ethan was with Sir and them. Then you got Margaret out here basically on a solo mission by herself. Listen, man, where's the renewal at? Where is the renewal at for season 3 of NBC Found? What are we waiting on? What are we waiting on? Let's talk about NBC Found, y'all. So the team is frantically trying to put the pieces together about the situation with Heather, aka Lena. You know her identity. Who is she? Did she kill her own brother, Christian? We also know that there is a snowstorm brewing for the team, right? There's a snowstorm and a power outage as well, right? So that causes even more confusion, even more chaos, right? You know, we end up seeing Gabby, right? She's gonna go down to the devil's den, unfortunately, with Ethan. But Ethan's basically there to be moral support, right? When I say devil's den, I'm talking about she's going to go see Sir. And Ethan's basically going to be there to try to help her out, let her know that, you know, you have a time limit with this guy. It don't need to be 5 minutes or less with Sir. And Sir is happy. He's like, oh my God, I finally got a chance to see my girl. I got a chance to see Gabby. She finally comes in and he's on cloud nine. But it's not going to be what he thought it was going to be. And of course, as the conversation is going on, we know that there's a power outage coming, right? And everybody's freaking out. Gabby's freaking out. Ethan's already escorted out, right? But her main concern is about Ethan, right? And you know, as this with the power going out, you know, Trent and Dawn are together, right? And Gabby, you know, the team finds out that Gabby's still stuck down there, and Trent basically confesses his love for Gabby because we saw Dawn and Trent, they was going at it, like they was barking at it back and forth. It was like, oh, you can't go out there in a snowstorm and yada yada, and we all knew Trent still had feelings for Gabby. Ain't nothing new. You know what I'm saying? So, and of course, Trent wants to have a conversation with Heather because he knows everything about her now, right? You know, he walked in M&A, he saw that they was looking up her case files and all that. But she's a little bit frantic. She's a little bit nervous because now the truth is about to come out. How can Trent handle this right here? That his woman is basically a killer and not basically not who she says that she is. So they're trying to figure out how can they potentially save Gabby, right? But we know Trent ends up not Trent, but Don ends up making a call to that burner phone and they work out the situation. He ends up knowing one of the guys who's stuck down there in the prison, and that guy's basically sent well, he's already in the prison, but he's there to help save Gabby, right? Because Sir is trying to defend these people off. And even that cop that Sir was working with, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, Sir, basically him and Sir had a deal. You know, Sir was helping that man's child out with his homework, and Sir and the guard in return letting Sir use the phone and make connections and stuff like that, right? So Sir's like, if he die, he die, right? And I hate this so much for Gabby. When it came to Gabby, she was like, you know, maybe I'm better off, you know, dying, right? Because she feels like, no matter where I go, I can't escape, sir. But I'm like, Gabby, you went into that lion's den yourself. You know what I'm saying? So I'm kind of conflicted about that situation, but she just feels like maybe death is the only option for me to escape this whole nightmare. Like, even though Sir's behind bars, that man's still controlling stuff even on the outside world, which is absolutely crazy when you think about it, right? Because Gabby, her main focus is making sure Ethan is okay, because she don't want nothing to happen to him. So even if she has to die, she got to go. But Sir, you know, he's not going to let his precious Gabrielle die, right? Of course, she ends up escaping, stuff like that. And man, that was an all out mess. That was an all out mess. That scene, that was chaotic. Very, very good. And I want to talk about this, right? I'm going to get these guys out the way. I'm going to get these two out the way. Zeke and Lacey, they have a very interesting relationship, right? Now, while she is basically explaining everything that's going on with the Heather case, aka Lena, right? He can't focus. He ends up kissing her, right? So now, you're in a snowstorm. That's a perfect time to do what you got to do, if you know what I mean, right? But at the same time, while this is happening, whenever the power goes out, Zeke completely freaks out because he's like, I'm cut off basically from the world. We know how he is attached to tech and stuff like that, right? He's having heavy breathing issues. He's like, I can't be in small spaces. I forgot to get some generators. I've been distracted. I feel like I'm alone. I'm like, yo, your girl is right there. She took some type of offense to that, right? And she's telling him to calm down, like it's gonna be okay. But he's having a whole nother panic attack, right? Now, while this is happening, we as we fast forward to the end with them two, he continues to say that he has been distracted, and that made Lacey feel some type of way. And she's like, "Well, since you're so distracted, you know what? Since I'm being a distraction, I'm gonna leave my keys here, right? Because she wants him to open up and to find out what's really going on with him. But he claims that he's okay, I'm fine, yada yada. But something more is going on with Zeke right now. We don't know what it is. We don't know if it's some type of a trauma issue or what it may be. But like I said, she leaves the keys on the counter because he was like, well, maybe we just need to keep things work related. Leave the keys on the counter. She dips. She leaves. Now Zeke is left looking speechless, looking, stuck on stupid, basically. I'm like, come on, bro. How you gonna fumble her? Do not mess this up, man. Do not mess this up. Let's talk about Margaret. Now, Margaret is out here on a solo mission. Margaret has turned into a 007 James Bond type figure, right? She's on her own mission, right? And, she goes back and retraces the steps about that quote, right? And when it came to that quote, kind of like Sir kind of gave her the ammunition that she needed to figure out everything about that quote, about the clouds departing, right? She realized the entire time the person that has had her child was a friend of hers by the name of Carrie, right? Carrie is I don't, put it like this, Carrie is extremely crazy, right? She's extremely crazy. Margaret invites her over. They're catching up, right? And Carrie notices that red toy, that red red, I think it was a red train toy, if I'm not mistaken, that Jamie used to have. And that kind of let us know, and it kind of set it off, saying that yeah, all the pieces are starting to connect now, right? Margaret's having this conversation, and they're playing that game, and she spells out the word. I think it was the word traitor, right? She goes into detail, letting her know that I know it was you who captured my son the entire time. And then we got a flashback of Carrie telling Margaret, saying, "Listen, you know, you might as well let Jamie be. It is what it is. He escaped. It's time to move on," or something like that. And Margaret completely flipped out, like, "How could you say this right here? Get out, get out, get out." Margaret wants this woman to confess. And I'm like, now, Margaret, you know it's not going to be that easy, right? You know it's not going to be that easy. She ends up getting swiped over the head. The Margaret Vision didn't see that coming. The Margaret Vision did not see that coming. She ends up getting swiped over the head by Carrie. I said Valerie. Carrie. And then here comes Jamie out of nowhere. Mom, are you okay? And then Carrie is calling Jamie Nicholas, right? And on top of that, I forgot to mention this right here. While she's standing on top of Margaret, she says, "Well, I lost my son, and God gave me a second chance to get another son." And she ends up like I said, she's basically the monster who we've been waiting to see. She even calls Jamie. She renames Jamie, calls him Nicholas. She renames Jamie and calls him Nicholas. How crazy is that? She was just saying, yo, you don't deserve this kid. You don't know how to raise a child the right way. I'm like, yo, this lady's crazy. This lady's crazy. And now Jamie is conflicted. Carrie was telling him, let's go, Nicholas, let's go. He's like, no, I can't leave my mom like this right here, like my real mom, right? She escapes. Then we end up seeing Jamie's real mother, Margaret, in the hospital. I felt bad for her. This is a very emotional scene right here because she's like, listen, I finally found my monster. And it was such a sad scene. I can't lie, it was very emotional, man. It's very emotional for Margaret, man. Very emotional. But man, so now we do know that this is real Jamie. And I know we've been debating it, but this is the real Jamie. Now that we know the truth, we have the team here that gathered around Margaret for support, right? And then we end up fast forwarding closer to the end. We end up seeing Gabby. She's getting ready to leave office, right? And it turns out we end up meeting the real Heather, the real Lena, right? So then that's how the episode ends. Crazy, crazy episode. Oh my god. Another one. Another great episode. Like it they literally outdo themselves almost like every single episode of NBC found, man. I need that season 3 announcement pronto, y'all. Pronto. And as always, thank you for tuning into the Lawrence Report.